All right, hey everybody, TG here. Let's get everything up and running. Yeah, it's been a little while, hasn't it? So I am back from the honeymoon, everything. Got a couple pictures that I can show you if you guys are interested. And I suppose if you're not, well, then we're going to be, you can skip ahead 5 minutes or so. All right, so if you guys want to check me out, profitpilot.com. And then we're going to be talking about a lot of interesting things in the market today. It's going to be kind of, brief overview of what I'm seeing. Mostly holding off because later today I do have a 2-hour live session for the actual Moxie traders in the Moxie room. If anybody is interested in that, if you guys aren't, if you guys are on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, or what is it, Periscope. Yeah, if you guys are seeing this and you're new to me, well, you can come on over to the Moxie area, and then if you guys are interested, we do once a month live trading, really dive deep and communicate to you about what's going on. So I'm really excited about that because, as I said, I just got back from the honeymoon, and here are a couple pictures. This was up at some waterfalls here in eastern Washington. I'm up in kind of the Seattle area, so this is east, like way Seattle. And so we got that one, and then this one was pretty cool too. It looks like it's snowing and frosting and everything. It was just really kind of the middle of summer. It was raining a little bit, so fortunately everything worked out as far as the weather goes. And then got a couple over here, and her dad, so Jackie is my new wife, her dad is actually the lead singer of his own band. So we had that, and that was a pretty good time because, I mean, talk about a party, right? So that one was pretty fun. All my friends were enjoying that, and then figured, if you guys like to see my parents, this is where I came from. So good times all around with that, and we'll dive into it. So thanks for taking a little detour, and life happens, and we've been trying to get out of COVID. I hope you guys are doing well. Same thing, and we're trying to see the economy reopen. All right, so got all that, and then let's dive into the markets. Yeah, Espan, thank you. Yeah, it feels good to be back. Now, we do have the FOMC later today, so I'm sure there's a lot of everybody holding their breath for whatever's going to happen there. I think what they're looking for, or everyone is wondering, is tapering. Are they going to hear anything about tapering? Okay, fine, whatever. We know that the interest rates aren't going to be touched for a while. They've been pretty clear that they're just not going to touch interest rates for a few years. I kind of think everything is fine here. I do think that the indexes themselves are likely to pull back because, I'm just seeing that, here we do have an inverse trampoline move going on. And, if we look a little bit closer, we've kind of been just grinding up in this kind of 40, not even 30-degree angle. And we've kind of been away from the daily 50 for quite some time. And then if you look here on the hourly chart as well, what I'm looking at is, why is price still moving up like that, even though the Moxie indicator is pretty flat? There just isn't a whole lot of energy right here. And then if you also notice on the 15, we've had price kind of just crawling up there and really not much energy from the 15-minute Moxie. So we've got some squeezes going on. It feels like kind of the calm before the storm. I do believe that we've reached new highs, so we have that accomplished. And, for those outside of like the real trading, when they see new highs, it probably brings in money. So it's one of those buy the rumor, sell the news type situations. Everyone's like, oh, the market's at new highs. Okay, let's get in. And then they roll it over. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that. The FOMC oftentimes can be a little bit of a trick. So I don't necessarily trust the first move after the FOMC. For example, like if after the FOMC price went up, not sure if I'm going to trust it. Kind of the same goes to if it's going to go down, it could then bounce and then roll over the next day. So really it's kind of the next day that I think is more important than this afternoon because they do some trickery and stuff like that. And then you give it the entire day and night for everyone to read the news and read it and settle in and kind of figure out what they want to do. So that's kind of what I'm seeing with the S&P. The NASDAQ is a little bit clearer as to how I think that we might be moving. It does seem to me as though the NASDAQ could use a bit of a pullback. So whether it's kind of maybe a sideways chop, a little bit more flagging, or a little bit more of a pullback, hard to say there. But we haven't touched the hourly 50 in quite some time, right? So there's a big gap there. You guys know that anytime I talk about there being a gap between price and the hourly 50, it is eventually going to come back and touch the hourly 50 at some point. And so I'm kind of looking at that, and with price being right up here at all-time highs, it's kind of some natural resistance. And then I figure, we haven't touched the hourly 50. It's going to have to do that at some point. And then you can see here on the daily chart, we're also off the 8. So off the 8, back to the 8. It's up at the third ATR. Just a lot of reasons that I could see the market in general kind of pulling back. And then for the 15-minute, you can see price moving up, and the Moxie indicator just kind of hanging sideways and then finally going down a little bit. So that's a form of negative divergence, the fact that price keeps moving up, but the Moxie indicator is going sideways. It's like, not exactly being supported. It's not terrible because it is still above zero, but it's not going up with price. It's just kind of hanging out. It's like cruising. It's kind of just, just cruising. So that's what I'm seeing. And as I said, we're going to be doing a live 2-hour Moxie session today for those who are subscribers. If you guys are new or interested, you guys can sign up. We do this once a month, and then every once in a while we have bonus sessions. Okay, then the IWM. I get a lot of the names that I like to trade, kind of the stuff that I've been working on for the last year or so, has really kind of been in the IWM and cares more about what the IWM is doing. So the fact that it had a pretty good move up and then has already started to pull back, fine. I'm okay with that. That's okay. This is looking good. This is looking constructive. You can see that the NASDAQ looks like it should be doing that, and the S&P looks like it should be doing it too. So the fact that the IWM is already doing it kind of tells me like, well, if it kind of pulls back a little bit, I'm okay with it. And if it just kind of hangs here, I'm even better with that, because a lot of the names that I'm seeing out there, I'm pretty happy with of what's going on. And you can see price is kind of coming back down to the daily 21. It's not there totally, so I could see some more downside a little bit. But overall, I like what I am seeing out there in the markets. And then on the 15, you can see the Moxie indicator is still below zero, but it's not really bleeding. It's just kind of holding sideways as well. So things are looking pretty good there. And then what I have noticed is there kind of that rotation. So there was a point in time where, the really high beta names that I liked were not doing well. They all pulled back in a very, very, very significant way, starting mid-February till about a few weeks ago. And the cyclicals were moving up and looking strong. And some of that, with the industrials, we're looking at CAT. And we look at CAT and you're like, oh man, this thing looks like it's just going to go forever, as it followed the daily 50 the entire time. So I thought, okay, fine. If the names I'm trying aren't working, then let's step over and try something else. And so right here, I tried it where price bounced off the daily 50, and it really didn't work for very long. DE actually broke right away. And I was looking at DE thinking, okay, so if DE broke down, why the heck is CAT still trying to move up like this? CAT was a little bit stronger, but it was a trick. So I was seeing that, and I thought, nope, this doesn't look good either. So CAT rolled over. You can see DE was more indicative of that. It was weaker, and the real signal for when things were going to go down, DE was right here where price got trapped underneath the hourly 50. So once that happened, I thought, there's no way. CAT's going to have to come down at some point too. So what this leads me into is, if you look at the Dow Jones, not looking so sharp, right? So I think, again, we're starting to see a rotation and money move around a little bit. The NASDAQ's looking pretty, happier. It could use a pullback, but it's looking pretty happy. The S&P is basically in the middle, and then the IWM is actually starting to wake up again. So I am seeing some stuff move around. That's going to be a big topic for our afternoon session in the Moxie room. So I've got a whole list of names that I'm going to be going through and talking to you guys about, because there are definitely actionable things happening based on my trading style, based on the ELF shoe, the weekly ELF shoe, all that kind of stuff. And so I am very excited about it. All right, then if you guys want to throw me some names and tickers that you're looking at, we can kind of take a look around the market. Nice, Tom. And one other thing I wanted to mention, and we're going to be talking about this a lot in the Moxie room, but gold, right? I don't know how long I've been talking about this. I think right about here is where I started to say, look, this at some point is going to start wearing out. I don't think that there's much further to the upside for it to go. And because I'm seeing the 50-250 maneuver happening on the daily chart, or it should be happening, and I gave my entire case, and maybe a little bit early as far as talking about it, but I think I was expressing caution, saying, hey, I really don't think that there's much more to the upside. And then sure enough, while I was gone on my honeymoon, gold broke real hard, and then it just kind of came up to, because that vacuum, it basically dropped so fast it created a little bit of a vacuum. And then what it do? Came back up and ran right into the underside of the now downtrending hourly 50 with the Moxie indicator below zero. It doesn't get any clearer than that, guys. That was fantastic as far as either a short trade or just a do not be in this type situation. And I had been calling this for quite some time. A little bit more, what you could see here was look at price right here trying to move up a little bit, but the Moxie indicator on the 15 were still staying below zero. Nothing really gave me a good sense that this thing wanted to go, and it kept getting pushed. Like right through here, it just kind of kept getting pushed. And then I talked a lot about on the daily chart how price was just super overbought in through here and it's floating off the moving averages and outside of the 30-day TR on all those things. And I said, I don't think that there's much more left on this thing. So sure enough, it broke. That's fine. Give it some time. But when this thing does eventually pull back into some support, then I think we're going to be into the next bull run. So if you thought gold was good on this run and through here, I think we're going to get a bigger run when we actually pull back on this thing. Because if you look at, let's see here, on the weekly and monthly time frame, I think we're just now pulling into some support here, and we could probably start taking off like that. So I do have bigger aspirations for gold. We just have to give it some time. All right. Yeah, hey guys. Yeah, you guys are really throwing out some of the names. All right, let's look at it. Costco. Now, I'm going to be, some of these names, I don't really trade or look at, and I have been away from the market for a little bit. So this could be some fresh names for me. Now, with Costco, we're kind of stuck, obviously, between a rock and a hard place because it's going sideways, right? I don't have a super clear picture yet. For now, the 8 is over the 21 on the daily chart, but I do see that there's a bit of a gap here between price and the daily 50. So a lot of times what I talk about is if price is going to go down, basically if price needs to find that support, it's got to go sideways for a while until it can erode support and then move down that way. So I would be concerned if you're long on this that watch out for that. And then I know it's chop, but right now I've had no signals because look, the Moxie indicator has been below zero this entire time. Therefore, there has been no trade, no trend, nothing. This is like a day trader's paradise if you like that. But other than that, I'd be careful. So keep watching. If it's going to work out, it will engage with a moving average and then start to follow that moving average. Otherwise, you can see it does not hold that moving average, right? So you can see it's never held it. If it's going to go, it will hold a moving average and start to move up. Otherwise, it's going to keep chopping around, and then it might want to roll down to meet the daily 50. So just kind of careful with that one. It's not really doing a whole lot. Yeah, and then the ARK ETFs. I am bullish on them longer term. I think that they are starting to develop and turn, but they are starting to do some of the things that I like or that I want to see, and this is what we're going to be talking about in the Moxie room. But look, price up, Moxie indicator kind of flat, right? So some negative divergence. You can see here on the 15, price up, Moxie indicator kind of down, and now it's kind of breaking. But this was all fairly obvious. If we look here on the daily, and we zoom in on the hourly, what's the issue? Look here, 30-day TR, very far away from the hourly 50, off the 8 on the daily chart. So a lot of these things got overbought and needed to pull back. And now that they're pulling back, I'm waiting for them to finish their pullback, and then we can get bullish again. This is a lot of what I'm seeing out there. Individual names are clearer, and I can teach what I'm trying to see on other names more clearly. But I do think that let ARK pull back a little bit, keep coming down, let it keep coming down, find some support, and then eventually we can go long on it. But I think a lot of it has to do with the, say, hourly 200. It's still trending down. Now it's flat, and then we'll see if it goes up, but it might need to take some time in through here before it can go back up again. So don't be surprised if ARK and those ETFs need to pull back. Yeah, I did see Sava. Yeah, sometimes you just got to step away from the market. I had to get married, and we went on the honeymoon, so I had to take some time away from the market. Gosh, I wish I was, of course, there were some really good moves for the week that I was gone. But right here, this is what I like to see. Right there, pulled back and bounced off of the hourly 50, and then we got one more bounce off the hourly 50. I would say that it is likely that the end of this move is probably upon us. This has been a really good move. So Tim, you're looking at this, it's had a couple bounces. I'm starting to see some degradation. Look, price up, Moxie indicator down like that. And then it's really had a good run. That's kind of the problem, right? When it's had too good of a run, it might be a time to start cashing in your chips. If you're already in it, then great. I would be backing out of it and start say thank you market and cashing in and pocketing some of that. If you're not in it and you're looking for an entry, I wouldn't think that this is going to be a good spot. It's already had a really good move, and I don't know how much more is left on this bone before there's a pullback. Okay, this reminds me very much of gold right in through here, where it was very extended on the daily chart. So I did see it, but I'm waiting for an opportunity, and I don't see an opportunity on that. Jonathan, how do I determine targets and stops? So I don't really do targets. I've only been able to do targets recently. So for example, like ride, and I could do targets here because there were things in the way. This was a known pattern for me, and the Moxie crew and Moxie traders know this. And so I was advertising a trade in through here, and I said, hey, however long it gets there, or however long it takes, and wherever it goes, and however it gets there, this is going to be my target. In this case, the weekly 21 was basically my target. It hit it in about 2 or 3 days, and I said, get out. And then it went just a little bit further, but then it totally imploded after that. So there are occasions to where I can use targets and find targets, but it's only when there are things in the way, moving averages, or the patterns that I see give me a target. Otherwise, if we're talking something like Sava, as far as a target, no clue. I have no idea where there's a target. The only thing I can do is have some guidelines, like third ATR as a guideline. Possibly, previous highs, but even at that, it kind of went past it. I have to just watch it and see what it does and have the stock talk to me, because I have no idea where it's going to go. None of us do. So I don't want to limit myself with a target. Now, as far as stops go, I like to, let's say, for example, even on Sava, we can use this as an example. If price, I finally get an entry here when price gets over the moving average, the Moxie indicator looks really good like that. What I would do with a stop is I just set it basically right below the 15-minute 50, because if it's going to work, it's going to follow the moving average. And same thing on the hourly chart. If it's going to work, it's going to follow that moving average. And then as I will set a trailing stop, I want to say, hey, based on my rules, things are usually going to be following moving averages. So, I might set a stop just below the moving average. And in this case, it really worked out. So as far as the stop goes, I just say, what do I need price to stay above in order for it to verify that it's working? Generally moving averages. And as long as it's staying above it, then it works. So I put my stop somewhere just below it to kind of account for some mushiness that the market has. They're not always super firm. Sometimes they kind of go below those moving averages and then pop up again. All right. Tesla. I don't think Tesla's been doing too much. NIO has been looking better. I saw this yesterday, and I just wanted to put a little bit marker on it. We're going to talk about this in the Moxie room today. I do see that it's trying, but it hasn't quite done anything yet. There's an opportunity, you see here, leg, heel, arch of the foot, ball of the foot. It's trying to do the alpha toe. There's kind of another one in there, leg, heel, arch of the foot, ball of the foot. So there's kind of a pattern within pattern. And really what it's trying to do is narrow the 8 and 21 situation through here. And the fact that, trampoline move here on the hourly chart, I wouldn't be bearish on this, but I don't quite see it yet. And this goes along with where I'm seeing things kind of needing pullbacks. These are some of the pullbacks that I'm talking about that I think I see coming out there. But until it gets on top of the moving averages, it's still kind of in chop going sideways. NIO looks much better. NIO is clearly doing well. But like Sava, this thing's extended. I would not be long on NIO. I think that this thing is extended here on the daily chart. It's had a pretty good move. It's had a really good move here on the hourly chart. I'm looking for names like this to pull back. It's had its move. You can see here, there's the Moxie price trigger. There's price following the hourly 50. It's had its move. Now I want to see this thing come back down and re-engage on something on a different time frame. And NIO, what NIO's pullback and next long entry might coincide with Tesla. I've been noticing that a lot of things are kind of doing their own thing right now, mostly because the market's just going sideways. The market's bullish, but going sideways, and a lot of names are just kind of doing their own thing. So there isn't a definitive grouping of this is a raging bull market. It's not like what it was between February and November where everything was just going up. It's a different market now, and we need to be good about finding the names at the right time. Let's see, Ahmed, you think if Bitcoin and dollar are going down, gold may go up again. So let's see, GBTC, it's possible. We're gonna, I'm not playing Bitcoin right now because it has not figured itself out. It is still below the hourly 200, therefore it's in a downtrend, and the 8 is below the 21. There could always be pops up to say fill this gap between price and the daily 50, always possible. But right now it's way too early to say that there's going to be an uptrend. I am no interest in buying something like Bitcoin yet, although I am looking at the Bitcoin miners, and they are starting to look interesting. So I'm wondering if they're kind of talking to me earlier than Bitcoin itself is. And Ethereum is actually looking kind of interesting too. But I do see that there is a big gap between price and a moving average, so it popped up, plus it popped off bounced off this moving average. But I'm just still not ready for it. I'm not ready for it. And I don't know how it's going to be related to gold, though. But I do see the gold on its own looks eventually like it's going to be moving up. Yeah, Baba, this is another one I think I had. No, I had Baidu and Billy on my list. I don't see anything yet here either. This just kind of keeps melting down. You can see it just can't get over these moving averages. Now, maybe something's setting up. Maybe. We're looking at double bottom. I do see some positive divergence. You can see here, even on the 15, there's some positive divergence, and we might be setting up for an elf shoe on the daily chart. So it's possible, but I don't see it yet, and I think that there are other names that are a little bit more ripe out there than this. So we'll just kind of have to see right here as it's coming down into this double bottom area if that's going to hold. But I want to see price actually hold and start engaging with those moving averages first. Yeah, Julio. Thank you. Let's see, ED. Con Edison, let's see. Well, on the daily chart, looks like it could be a trampoline move. I do see a possible elf shoe. Leg, heel, arch of the foot, ball of the foot. Let's see if it gets that elf toe. And then I also see, so yeah, you might be picking something out on this one. Double bottom right there, positive divergence, 50, 250 maneuver. Cool. So there might be something here. I'd like to see a little bit confirmation. So just give it another day or two or something. If it can start to move up like that and actually prove that it can hold the hourly 50, then great. I'd be happy about that. As you guys all know, we've been talking about woof quite a bit. And you can see right in through here what it do. Right there, bounced off the hourly 50. That was a fantastic trade. So we're working ourselves into something like this one. And I think with that volume that we've had over the last couple of days, it's just a matter of moving this thing around, but it should be okay. So keep an eye on Wolf. And then VXX, I don't see anything yet. I know it keeps getting a little oversold. There is some pressure. It's just been going down for a very long time, so I don't see anything I really want to call attention to with VXX or UVXY. I mean, I know I see that with the Moxie indicator versus price down, but you know what? It's just kind of been getting rejected this whole time. Yeah, I could see that there could be a spike, but then every spike has eventually faded down. So as I said, I kind of see that there could be a pullback on the market, and so maybe we get a spike with the VIX, but after that, I don't know. It just doesn't seem too bad yet. Let's see. Adam, so Go ED. Is that Go ED, not Go EV? I don't know. I see that there's huge volume. This stuff always makes me weirded out when something like that happens because I have no idea what's going on. It goes from having literally zero volume, 13,000 shares traded a day, to suddenly millions. I don't know. Maybe there's something there, but I'm a little cautious. You could do some more research. If it's going to go, I do see that it's kind of trying to get over the hourly 50. Maybe there's something there. Just do more research and figure out what this is. I can't really tell anything just from the charts on this one because it's a little screwy. All right, Chewy. Chewy, yes. So Chewy is starting to do what we're gonna be talking about a lot of this in the Moxie room today, and this is really great. This is doing some of the things that I wanted to do. Notice that we had earnings. Great. After earnings. I don't like to trade earnings. This is why. Because even if they had good numbers, they still dropped it. I don't know what their earnings were, but it was just an excuse and just a reason to drop it. So I don't want to be around for that. The other thing is we look like we're starting to make some progress on the daily chart. And honestly, despite it being earnings, this was the kind of pullback that I'm looking for. This is the kind of pullback I want to see on NEO. This is the kind of pullback that I want to see on FSR and some of these other names. So this is the kind of stuff I want to see. And notice what it's done. It's pulled back into the hourly 200, but notice the hourly 200 is still trending down. We're going to have to get some work in order for the hourly 200 to start to move up like that. These things are all just beginning. This is why I look at individual names like this and I think, you know what? I'm not too concerned about the market because as far as my individual names, a lot of times we talk about top-down trading where we look at all the indexes and we make our judgment and assessment based on that and we do top-down. Well, right now, the indexes aren't really telling me too much except they're just flagging sideways. So what I've been doing is I've been looking from the bottom up. I've been looking at a lot of stocks and I'm seeing a lot of things that I want to see and how names are finally starting to come off of the bottom, off of these lows. Like Chewy is one of those that I've talked about where since, what was it, so this was one of them, mid-February, right there, mid-February, they've just been pulling back, and we've been wondering, like, when the heck are these things going to find bottom and start to move up? And they have. They've been doing this as of the last 3 weeks or so, started to come off the lows, and they're starting the process of, I believe, turning, bottoming and turning. And this is the stuff that I've been talking about for the last few weeks with the Moxie subscribers. I left on my honeymoons giving everybody some ideas of what I was looking for and basically saying, yes, me leaving last week was going up into overall resistance. Take that move, make that money, then get out and then wait for a pullback. And this is the kind of pullback stuff that I was looking for. So I am pretty excited to be talking today in the live session. And then we'll be diving deep into these things. So, Chewy, starting to see what I want to see with this stuff. Lulu, I think that one was, okay, doing better. I think I saw it the other day. It was like, I can't really tell too much. What I do like is there's the double bottom. There's the positive divergence, and then so far it looks like it's holding the daily 50, and then eventually, this might need a little bit of time, Lulu's a bit of a slow mover, but if we can eventually get the daily 50 over the daily 200, then we're bullish again. I'd be happy about that. For those of you who know, let's see who's asking this. For those of you who know, 50, 200, 50 maneuver, right? Works on any time frame that I look at it for. And in fact, look at this on the hourly. This, again, 50, 200, 50 maneuver, and this was a trampoline move. I love the Moxie system, like there you go. There's the trampoline move. It did happen on earnings. It's fine. I don't like to trade earnings. I usually don't. I just don't ever feel like I miss anything because of earnings. Yes, it popped on earnings, but you know what? Look right here. There was your next entry, right as it pulled back into the hourly 50. Piece of cake. All right, then I'll skip ahead and then I got to get going. Andrew, so CRSR, I did see that one. Corsair is a name that I have traded in the past. What was he, like back in through here area. And then again, all these names, mid-February, just totally deflated. And then I did see this one that, huge volume the other day. Just like Lulu with earnings, I don't chase these things because, well, you're chasing them. Here's a huge move. Yes, it's on big volume, but you know what? Don't chase it. It wanted to come back down. So now that it has come back down, this looks pretty reasonable here on the daily chart, and this looks pretty reasonable on the hourly chart, yes. But if you guys know me, if you guys know my kind of trading style, I can't go in yet because it hasn't finished going down yet. I got to look for a little bit more confirmation in order to know that it's going to be going up. All right. So I think that pretty much covers everything. I'm going to bring you guys over here showing you the Profit Pilot webpage. So if you're interested in who I am, what I do, and the live sessions and all this other stuff, I think I know FOMC is today, and I know the markets look a little crazy and we don't know what to expect and they're chopping and maybe they're extended. But I look at these names from the bottom up and I'm kind of getting excited again because I think we're going to start shaping up on a bull run on the weekly time frame for a lot of these names. So it's going to be a big part of what we're talking about today in the Moxie room, and it should be fun. So I'm happy to be back from the honeymoon. We had a great time, but it's ready to get get back to the market and start making some money. All right, everybody, you take care, and I'll talk.